I don't get into any soul searching or self-examination, which I think people in the method spend an awful lot of time doing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that claim to be teaching people the method, and I've seen them tear people's total self-esteem down to the ground, make them wish they'd never been born,
Yeah.
with the idea that because they're studying method acting, then they can build up on that fine foundation that they have there. And what it amounts to is that they're so destroyed in their personalities at some point, so that some of them that go through that system, they never come out of it. They can never express themselves again. So we have to, in my view, use everything we are. When we're 8 years old, we've learned a certain amount of things about life, a certain small amount of things about life. But you have to bring those to bear if you're playing King Herod. If you're 26, which I was when I started the Virginian, you've learned quite a bit more about life. In fact, an awful lot more about life. You've been to college, and you've been around the world, and you've seen and interacted with all kinds of people. So you remember things that happen to people that you've witnessed and noted, and these things become important to you as an actor because sometimes you use elements of other people's experiences in your scenes. You think about things that have happened to other people, and it comes through on your face. The camera can come into your one eyeball and see into your soul if you'll let it. And you just, the greatest close-up are the close-ups where you do nothing and let the camera come in and see what you're thinking by looking at your eyes. Mm-hmm. And you better be thinking something. You'd better have some thought there, something, some reaction, something that you're thinking to. And I listen to every word of their dialogue. I listen as intently as if I were in a real conversation. And that's the way to make it look real. Spencer Tracy said many years ago, acting is a great profession if you don't get caught at it. Mm-hmm. And every time you look up to the screen or to the stage and see a performance by an actor or an actress that doesn't quite ring true, then that actor or that actress got caught acting. And we all get caught acting. Nobody's immune from it. But the point is to try to do it as seldom as possible,
Right.
And that's my approach to it.
Good.
It's not any deep thing. It's the desire and willingness to make it ring true. And if it rings true, the audience will continue to go along with the gag. As Aristotle said, we must suspend our disbelief for this brief time when you're watching a play or watching a film, and put yourself in the shoes of the characters you're watching and live your life through them vicariously. And that's what we call entertainment, because it's taking you completely away from your own troubles, and you're worried about the problems that the Virginian has, or that any character has in any piece, anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
And that's what is the wonderful thing about the theater. In the time of the Greek theater, everybody was required to go to the theater at night. The Greeks looked for it not only as entertainment, but as a great way to teach moral lessons and lessons about not marrying your mother and killing your father and so forth, and how that turned out. The Greeks were required to go to the theater, and if they didn't, they had to pay a fine, just like a traffic ticket.
Wow.
So that's not usually stressed, but that is a fact.
It's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
The history professor told me that. I'd never known it either. I never learned that in college. I learned it in Houston.
Really? Amazing.
Yeah. But he's a man who's studied the history of the time and studied the Greeks extensively. And he said it was a requirement. And most people went because they wanted to go. But, in the city-states in those days, Athens and Troy and so forth, the population was much more limited than it is now. So you knew where everybody was in the evening. And if they didn't come to the theater, they hunted them down and said, you've got to pay 2 farthings or whatever it is as a fine for not attending the theater.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing to know.